What's up, NBA fan? What's up, all sports fans? This your boy JB, host of the Behind the Bench podcast network and channel. Giving a shout out to the rest of the crew: Shad, Kelvin, Jermaine, KB Film Room, and Big Dog Talk Sports. That's right, that's right. Everyone who's tuning in, thank you for supporting Behind the Bench. Subscribe to that channel, to this channel. Help make these shows the best that it can be. Man, I have to admit, man. Uh, Real quick, the youth movement in sports is real, man. When I say youth, I'm not talking about just for the sake of having young players. I'm talking about organizations who have come to understand that they're, your most prized asset is your youth, who you bring in, right? What I mean, I'm talking about young players who really want to excel. I ain't talking about, just, you know, playing a role of shooting the breeze. I ain't talking about that. You look at the NFL real quick. The Denver Broncos are 9-2. For the past 5 years, they've been struggling, man, trying to find the right quarterback and all this. They brought in Russell Wilson. He kind of tailed off. He wasn't the same player that he was in Seattle, where he won the Super Bowl. And all of a sudden, they have the best team in the AFC West. They have a better record than the San Diego Chargers and the Kansas City Chiefs, where the Chiefs have been dominating that division for about the past 6-7 years. The New England Patriots, who lost Tom Brady to a trade, I guess that was been about 5 years ago, 5-6 years ago. 5 years ago when he was traded to Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Long-standing coach Bill Belichick stepped down. They had some years of struggle there. And all of a sudden, they in first place in the AFC East with a 9-2 record. The Chicago Bears have been struggling for some years, man. Since the days of Lovie Smith as head coach, right? When they went to the Super Bowl back in 2007 versus Indianapolis and Peyton Manning. And all of a sudden they 7-3. So it's something going on. And the reason I'm bringing it up, all three of those teams are like surprises, where you didn't think they was going to play as well this year as they actually are. And that puts my focus on a team like the Toronto Raptors, man. And of course, one of my favorite players, since being a fan of the NBA, and BI, Brandon Ingram, he was traded there from the New Orleans Pelicans, who he had played for over the previous, I guess, 6 seasons, 5-6 seasons. And I always say the mistake that the Pelicans made was building the team around the wrong player. Instead of building a team around Zion, who unfortunately he's been out due to injury. Maybe it's beyond his control. They should have been building a team around Brandon Ingram. But nonetheless, he's in Toronto now. And I was kind of iffy, man. I was like, I don't know, man. I was like, Toronto kind of been struggling. I said, I don't see it, man. That's the beauty of it, man. Like, see, you could be watching basketball for a long time, man. And a team can surprise you that you don't see, is being successful going into that new season, right? So, Toronto Raptors, man, the strategy is to feature a 3-wing attack of Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett, who was traded there from the Knicks some years back, a couple years ago, along with then you got Scotty Barnes, who won Rookie of the Year 2 years ago. And I'm thinking, man, I don't know, man. Like, they don't have no front court, man. Like, you don't see it, initially. And they started the season off slow. They had a brutal schedule, right? It was 1-4 at one point. They lost. They won a season opener versus Atlanta Hawks. They lost 4 straight. And I'm like, I don't know, man. And all of a sudden, they beaten the Cleveland Cavaliers twice, who had the best record in the Eastern Conference last year. And they sitting there with an 8-5 record. And before you know it, they got some games where they can possibly, be like 10-5. And See, that's the beauty of it, man. And I love watching the team build, man. It just now, of course, you want your squad to win. Don't get me wrong. You know, to win a championship. I'm just saying, like, a lot of times, man, like Brandon Ingram, it's almost like a leap of faith, man. He went to a team, man, where you didn't think that he would want to go. You know, you thinking maybe like a team like San Antonio on the come, you know, Victor Wembanyama or something like that, or possibly Houston or something like that. I'm just throwing teams out there. He goes to Toronto, man, and you look at this lineup that they got. They starting five is actually pretty darn good. You got Brandon Ingram, you got Scotty Barnes, you got R.J. Barrett. All of them averaging around 20 points a game. You got Emmanuel Quigley, who was traded to the Raptors from New York also. I believe in that trade for O.J. Anunoby, who's playing for the Knicks now. Then you have Jakob Poeltl. Now, Jakob Poeltl was hurt early on. Well, he was out of the lineup early on this season. And since he's been back in the lineup, man, they've been looking pretty good, man. And they're getting some contribution off the bench. Like I said, they starting five is Brandon Ingram, R.J. Barrett, Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quigley, Jakob Poeltl, and that rookie that they got, man, he's like 20 years old. Let me pull up his name real quick. And he's been making some noise coming off the bench, man. And like I said, they're 8-5. Let me see what the brother's name is. They have second-year player Grady Dick on the team. Yeah, Colin Murray Boyles. Colin Murray Boyles. He's a wing also. He's 20-year-old rookie, 6'7", 245 pounds. He's giving them some good minutes, man. And they got another good reserve player in let me see what's his name. Sonaro Mamuka Lashmu. He's like they kind of like they backup big, 6'9", 240 or whatnot. But he's been giving some good minutes and he can hit the three. You know what I'm saying? So before you know it, man, this is a team on the come up. You had a couple pieces in there, man, and boom, they can mess around and challenge in the Eastern Conference. So, make a long story short, man, to take a leap of faith like that, to go to a Toronto Raptor team who had been out of the playoffs the last couple of years, they really seemed like they really had any type of future for itself. And Brandon Ingram's made an impact on that team already. And remember, he's coming off a significant injury from last year, and he's probably not close to his full form, and he's entering his prime. So he's in a good situation, man. And like I said, I want to give kudos to the Toronto Raptors real quick. Like I said, it looks like they'll be a playoff team in the Eastern Conference, you know. And that's the first step. And then you take it from there, you know. But like I said, man, my players for my squad, man, they are contributing to other teams' success, man. I never believed in the notion that they couldn't achieve anything. You know, when you look at teams like Detroit Pistons, off to probably their best starting, arguably franchise history, one of the best starts in franchise history. You look at San Antonio, what they doing. You look at Houston Rockets, you know, what they did last year, and you know, other teams on the come up, and of course the Oklahoma City Thunder, you know. So I just want to throw this out real quick, man. The Toronto Raptors, man, look like they got a nice little squad. And they go to the playoffs, and probably their best score is going to be Brandon Ingram, especially as he really get his get his full game back. You know, he's probably playing at 80% level right now. But I just want to drop that video real quick, man. Like I said, it's a beautiful thing. This youth movement in sports is real, man. And really, as a veteran, you know, as you reach a certain point in your career where you pass your prime, you can provide that veteranship and still contribute. You know what I'm saying? But like the new wave of players should always be at the forefront. When you go in reverse, that's where you're going to have the problems. And you're not going to succeed the way you think you are. So kudos to Toronto, man. I just want to drop that nugget real quick. 8-5 after 13 games. I could see them going 10-5 to start the season, man. That'd be something, man. Like I said, this is a shocker to me because I thought they was looking pretty bad at first, man. But like I said, patience is a virtue. But leave your comments and thoughts. Until next time, this is your boy JB for BTB Behind the Bench.